I'm Dr. Angela McBurdy of DoctorFlute.com, and today's flute tip is on how to open up your sinuses to improve your tone. The sinuses play a role in how your tone develops and the resonance that you can get. Singers know about the sinuses and how to use them because especially your opera singers and those that have really developed sounds, the way that sound has gotten really developed is to engage your sinuses. Now, when we talk about sinuses, we're talking about the cavity that's right behind your cheekbones up here. You can feel that cavity if you hum. You feel when you hum the sound vibrating up in here. Sometimes it's really tickly of the nose. Sometimes, depending, I don't like to hum because it makes my lips all vibrate and then that makes them itchy. But opening those sinuses and learning how to keep it open while you play can add a depth of sound and make your tone go from 2 dimensions to 3. Now, it's something that I think you can get in the habit of doing, and so that it stays open all the time. But I will say that perhaps getting so that habit is there, maybe it's going to take a little while to get. Now, it's not difficult to make the sound, but to make it be there every time you pick up your flute may take a little bit of work and thought. I know that when I'm playing a piece that's hard, it's fast, it's high, my sinuses tend to get closed, and I have to think about that, like stay open. When I'm practicing that piece, getting ready to perform, I'm consciously thinking, no, keep that sinus open up there. Don't let it close off because our throat wants to constrict when we're high. It wants to, even singing, it's often the first thing that you do is close your throat. So let's just talk about where that sinuses come from, what you do, and how you achieve this first. And then I'll demonstrate a couple different ways of having it closed and having it open. To demonstrate or figure out how to include your sinuses, it's best to try humming first. So do some humming. And humming tends to be, sometimes can be a little bit nasally. You feel it up here. You can make it very nasally, and sometimes that's a good exercise to do. So let's hum and close off your throat as if you have a stuffy nose. All right, I closed it off. The back of your throat just closes it off. You talk and you have a stuffy nose and you can't do anything. That's it closing off. It's good to know how to do that and having that stuffy nose feeling, because then you can understand the opposite of what it feels like when it's open. So if you go with that stuffy nose and then you open that up, you think, I can open it, I can close it. It is something that is in your control. Let's talk about the throat. So when you take a breath, the throat needs to be open. And that's nothing new. We've talked about that. I've talked about that a lot in the past. You want to take a yawning breath. Okay, now I can take 2 types of yawning breaths. I can take a yawning breath that closes off everything from here up. I have a stuffy nose, okay? Or I can take that yawning breath, and that yawning breath helps me to open up all the way into this cavity right up here and keep it open. Now, this cavity up here, which vibrates when you're singing or when you're playing, is achieved by lowering the back of your tongue, keeping it down, and then raising your soft palate. So I like to tell students, if this is your throat, your tongue goes down, your soft palate comes up, and it creates this straight air tube all the way up into these sinuses. Now, if you're not used to that, then you need to be thinking and practicing and going, all right, what's it sound like when I close it off, and what does it sound like when I open it up? Now, the piece I'm demonstrating with is the Flute Concerto by Franz Kromer. It's really delightful. Very notey, but very scaly type of concerto. It's really fun to be working on. I heard it one year at a flute convention, and I bought it, and I thought, well, now's a good time to work on it. Okay, so back to opening those throat. Okay, let me show you something. When I play this opening passage, and I'm going to close off my sinuses, I'm just going to play, my throat might be open, but I'm going to be closed from here on. Okay, I want to see if you can hear the difference. Okay, that's way number one. Let me play it again for you. I'm going to change the way I play and see if you can tell, is it the closed off sinuses? Is one closed off sinuses, or is two the closed off sinuses? All right, could you tell the difference between those two? One of them, I opened the sinuses, and the other one, I closed it. Well, if you can guess, listen to them again and see if you can tell. But the second one, I opened the sinuses. And to me here, listening to myself play, the second sound had a more resonant, more three-dimensional sound. The first way was nice, the tone was nice, but it was only two dimensions. It didn't go very deep. All right, so this is what it can do for you. It gives you that three-dimensional sound. Now, let me show you singing-wise. If I sing this note without using my sinuses, let me just sing a note. Ah. All right, okay, pleasant enough. There's nothing terrible, horrible about that. It's just a pleasant sound. But if I do that note again and I sing it again, and this time I open my sinuses, it completely changes. So I'll show you. Ah. You can hear that sound morph into the bigger, more developed sound, and that comes from going closed sinuses to I just all of a sudden dropped the back of my throat, opened, raised the soft palate, and opened that sound all the way up into my sinus cavity. So let me just see. If I play this note, I'm going to play it with vibrato, but that I didn't use sinuses. That was an A. Now let me see if I can open up everything and make it sound different to you. Could you tell the difference between those two A's, one being very closed off and the other open? So now I'm going to play this passage and close off the sinuses. Okay, that's closed off. Let me play it again and open. I hope you could tell that the difference of the second one added another dimension to my tone. All right, so this is an exercise to be working on. It's nice to do it with slow passages, and you can do it with fast passages. It doesn't matter. Just think about, what is your throat doing? Get up close and personal with what's happening inside just the back of the mouth cavity, all right? Because that's where the opening and closing occurs. So take your flute, take some passage, and start practicing how you open your throat, you lower your tongue, you raise the soft palate, and you let that sound become three-dimensional and let it develop. It's going to be amazing. It's going to do amazing things to your sound. Remember, it's going to need to be light on your lip. If you're doing all this stuff and you're crushing this mouthpiece against your lip, all your work is going to be to no avail. So keep it light on your lip. I know from experience, I used to play with it very tight. But if you're opening everything here, That means you're very loose. Your embouchure is loose, because it's very hard to open and have a tight embouchure at the same time. You can't do both. It's all connected, and it's going to be tight. So let it be loose and open. Let your throat be open. Your yawning breath, raise that soft palate, let it go up, and let that sound go all the way up in here and vibrate. Now, I don't feel it vibrate as much as I do when I'm humming. It's not going to vibrate that way. I don't think I probably, even if I sing it, I'm not going to feel it. But I feel the openness of it. I can tell the difference between that and, which I've closed it off. It's like I'm thinking I have a stuffy nose and I closed it off. There's are two different sounds, and one is just lovely and full of resonance and depth, and the other one is just two-dimensional. There's nothing wrong with it. It's still a nice tone, but it doesn't have that depth. So this is what you need to work on to give you that extra quality of sound that you're looking for when you want to think about the difference between the amateur and the professional. This is one of those things that they do that gives their tone that extra phenomenal quality that we all want. That's today's flute tip. If you like today's video, press the like button, subscribe, comment below, and share it with your friends.